Happy June 30th, 2018. Do you like my confetti? It's made out of leaves. Means I don't have to clean it up. That's also why I'm outside, so sorry if there's bad audio. What's so special about June 30th, 2018? Well, my friends, today is marking a day in history. Today is the last day in Australia that you will be able to get single-use plastic shopping bags from the supermarket. I know, right? Big thing. But I don't know, I personally think this is a big thing, but not everyone's actually too happy about this, nor are they convinced that it's going to make a difference. So today I have brought together a bunch of different frequently asked questions and tips to help convince you to stop being a wuss and embrace the change. My first tip, and this one's not really a tip, quite frankly, it's a rule. Don't complain to the cashiers about it. They've probably heard it 1,000 times from 1,000 different people that day, and might be starting to feeling a little bit tired about the fact that people are consistently complaining that they have to buy plastic bags, or that they have to buy bags. And by the way, you don't have to buy them, you can also make them at home with old clothes, which would be amazing. 10 out of 10, good job there. But if you're consistently complaining to it, you got to remember that there were people beforehand, and it can become quite draining. The SDA has actually brought out information and started a campaign saying, don't bag, I don't know, they've got their own things, but basically the thing of the campaign is that you shouldn't abuse people who are working and doing their job, which is great. You shouldn't do that ever, not with bags or anything, but you've just got to think about it that way. Just remember, people are doing their job, they're doing what they need to do, and don't complain to them because it can be really painful, and definitely don't abuse them because they don't deserve that at all. One very common thing that people say as a reason to why they're quite reserved about the ban is, like, people will say that, oh, but I use my plastic bags as bin liners, and now I'm gonna have to buy bin liners and reusable bags, which are actually worse for the environment because they're made from plastic and it's a heavier plastic, and then I'll need bin liners. Okay, so your point is valid, but also not a strong point at all. So yes, if you are continually buying reusable bags, that's worse for the environment because you're not reusing them. The whole point of reusable bags is that you reuse them. Once you reuse them a lot, they actually end up like better. If you think about all of those thin plastic bags that you've ever bought and then pile them up, that is so much more plastic and more production and more transport waste than your reusable bag when you reuse it. Second rule, bin liners. So, this is actually a quite interesting one. Yes, if everybody did do the thing where they had shopping bags and then they made them bin liners, and there was an exact 1-to-1 ratio of shopping bags to bin liners, then yeah, that would be true. The whole bag ban would be pointless. People would just buy bin liners and nothing are there. But the thing that you have to remember is not everyone lives like that. So there are people that buy their groceries and they get them in the plastic shopping bags, and on top of that they buy bin liners for whatever reason. And those people, their plastic waste is going to be reduced by half. You also have to remember that, like, it's not always a 1-to-1 ratio. I know many people, including myself back when I took plastic bags from the shop, was that the shopping bag pile would just keep growing and growing and growing and growing and never end up being properly used. So it gets rid of all of that extra waste. And you also have to remember that plastic bags break. The amount of times that people walk out of shops and they've got a big slit down the plastic bag because they've just bought something that's slightly pointy and it's cut the bag. Those aren't going to be reused as bin bags. They're just going to be thrown away. And if we ban plastic bags, all of those situations won't be a problem anymore. The bin bags that we buy will be used exclusively as bin bags, and they're bigger, so we will need to use less of them. Apparently they are also thicker and have more chemicals, but that's a different point. But all of those other bags aren't going to be used. So you have to remember that not everybody works exactly the same as you. Another thing about that point is that, you know what it does? It actually gives us opportunity to look at ourselves and think about, do we really need bin liners then? If we're doing this and I have to buy bin liners, do I need bin liners? And at the end of the video, I've actually got some tips as to how you can avoid using bin liners now. So, there's that one. If you look at life in that kind of way of, oh, it's not going to do a big difference, so therefore it's not worth doing, that really irks me personally. Because, you know, small steps is how we get places. And the thing is that, yes, okay, big things are very important and we should focus on them. And sometimes I do realize that the media uses small problems to distract people from bigger problems, and that in itself is actually a really big problem. But if we have a problem, and if we have something that we can do to make a step towards a better world, and it's easy and you can do it and you just implement it, then do it. Why not? Why stop and think, oh, it won't do that big of a deal, then we shouldn't bother doing it? No, just do it, get it out of the way, done, bam, step towards a better world. If you do that, you'll get a lot more things done than you ever will with the attitude of we should only ever focus on big things. Also, a 2012 study of the South Australian bag ban found that 9 in 10 households used bin liners before the ban, and 9 in 10 households used bin liners after the ban. But here's the thing. 15% of people before the ban bought bin liners, and then it went to 80% after the ban. Now that's 10% of people who didn't buy bin liners but still lined their bin. That's 10% of progress. That's 10% of people who thought of alternatives and did something different. And I don't know what they did, but it could be maybe they used something different, or newspaper, or like, there are many other options, and that's 10% of people who thought of different options. Another very simple question that people always ask me is, so what do I do if I forget my bags? Do I just have to buy bags then? Isn't that worse? Well, short answer, no. No, you don't. You don't have to buy bags. There are actually many other options that you can take, and you just got to think outside of the box a little bit. So, if you've walked to the store, unfortunately, you're probably in the worst of the situations, but also if you've walked all the way to the store and realized that you've forgotten your bags, like, that's a distance and some amount of time. You do actually still have some options. So you've got the choices of, like, you can come back later, you can carry your shopping in your hands, or maybe you've got a backpack on, trying seeing whether you can fit everything in the backpack, or, I mean, you can buy bags. But quite a lot of shopping centres have parcel pickup nowadays, so ask your friendly cashier about whether they have parcel pickup. If they do, you can just do all your shopping and come back later with bags and leave your shopping trolley there. So there's that option. If you've driven to the supermarket, which, let's be honest, a lot of us do, because that is a lot of stuff to carry if you're by yourself, you have a few options. So you can always ask the cashier for a box. Like, they might not always have a box available, or they could be too busy to find you a box, or whatever. But there is no harm in asking. You can always just ask. Don't demand, just ask politely. And if they've got it, then voila, problem solved. You have a box now. Another option that you can do is, this is my personal favourite because I actually do it all the time, is that I'll just pack everything straight back in the trolley and then stick it in my car. This also really helps if you've accidentally left your shopping bags in the car, because then you can stick everything in your trolley, take it to your car, pack it in your shopping bags, stick it in your car. Done. I personally keep these 2 boxes. They fold down and I just permanently keep them in my car just in case situations like that. Also, really useful for if I ever need to just, I don't know, someone gives me a book, I don't want it sliding around my boot. Done. In my car, in the box. Really easy. I recommend it. There is a lot of options that you can do. You're not just stuck with buying a bag. A little bit of positivity. I strongly believe that you will be able to remember your bags quite frequently by the end of the year. Doing simple things such as sticking your bag straight back in your handbag as soon as you're done. Or sticking your bag straight back in the car as soon as you're done unpacking. Or sticking your bags at the door as soon as you're done unpacking. All things that make it really easy to just remember to bring your bags to the shops. I believe in you. I think you can do it. Like, a few times you'll be not thinking about it at all. It'll be second nature. Trust me. Okay, so now I'm going to give you some tips about those bin liners that I promised. Because, quite frankly, they are the biggest reason why the bag ban won't be as good for the environment as we want. I've read recommendations that you wrap all your smelly stuff up in newspaper and then stick it in the bin, which I think that's a great idea, because newspaper, it's biodegradable, it's easy to obtain, super easy. But the thing is not everyone reads newspapers nowadays, and quite frankly, I think they're gonna phase out of existence similar to these plastic bags. So we've got to start thinking about new, more innovative ways of dealing with things. And this is the way that I personally do. So I've got a compost bin, and this is what gets rid of most of my problems. But if you live in an apartment, then maybe look into a bokashi bin or community composting programs. Seriously, Google your local community composting program or start one up. It'll make a difference. The main thing of fixing any problem is to just think about it. So you got to think about, what waste do I have that actually is bad to stick straight in the bin that I would need to use a liner for? So the main waste that I can think of is food waste, things like tissues and baby vomit, and chemical spills. Now most of those are actually biodegradable, so most of those, like the food waste and even some tissues sometimes, can go into your compost bin. Great. What about the other things? Well, so we're going to start thinking about how you're doing your bins. So currently most people have a recycling bin and then a normal bin. But how about we add another bin onto that? Let's go recycling waste that is clean. So things like bottles that aren't recyclable that you can just wash out and stick in the bin, or dust or things like that. So clean waste, and then waste that's sticky or yucky or gross. And that waste you can stick into a smaller bin that you've lined with like a bread bag or your frozen peas bag or something like that. Like, be creative. And then that way also you're not having it in the house for as long, because it's a smaller bin, and then you can throw it out to the big bin. Or even better, just throw it straight out to the big bin and then wash your big bin every month or so. Done. Just rinse it out with a hose. So I hope this was a really useful look at the bag ban. I think I am quite positive about it, and I hope you are too now. There is a lot of different options. You can try different things. Don't forget, change is not a bad thing. It is not spooky. I believe in you. You can do it. Good luck. Goodbye now. Have a good one.